Introduction. The Flash. Chasing and catching fire. Sadie Hawkins was homely and gangly. Fortunately for her, she lived as a mid-century cartoon character. Although fictional, something about her awkward appearance and relational rawness connected, and she became a liberator of sorts for countless women. What was the banner she carried that made her so well loved and followed? She presented an acceptable annual opportunity for a woman to pursue and literally chase after a potential love interest and acquire a date with the guy of her choice. Sadie enabled women to buck the social norms in an otherwise male-dominated dating world. Under the auspices of a Sadie Hawkins event, women felt they had a chance to go after the relationship they always wanted without feeling sidelined and left waiting for an honorable suitor to call. Sadie Hawkins dances and Sadie Hawkins Day races quickly became popular annual events women looked forward to, especially in high school and college settings. Here's how it worked. Duly forewarned men became voluntary prey on a set-aside fox hunt kind of day. Women became the hunters, and men became the hunted. Each woman set her sights on a male prize to pursue, and the chase began. The end game was simple. If a gal tagged a guy, she got him. He became her special Sadie Hawkins date guarantee. I well remember hearing my folks tell of one Sadie Hawkins race when the homeliest gal on their college campus set her eyes on my father's best friend. Don was a handsome, fun-loving, and popular bachelor, a noticeable prize for sure. As Don and the rest of the male student chasees gathered on the starting line, a most boisterous voice sounded from among the female lineup of chasers. My dad recalls recognizing the voice almost instantly. It was the young lady unofficially dubbed the homeliest girl on campus. She was scoping Don with her eyes, and he was locked and loaded in her crosshairs. With levity, she threatened her soon-to-be hunted prey. "I will catch you, Don Simpkins." No one dare bet against her. Her determined voice, committed spirit, and a brand-new pair of running shoes had Don a bit nervous. The unfolding scene sent a jovial chuckle through the watching crowd. No one could help wonder, even with Don's athletic prowess, if he had even half a chance at an escape from such a resolute hunter. But Don was a climber, and he had an idea. Massive trees stood close by, and when the starter gun sounded, Don ran like lightning toward the nearest tallest tree. He shimmied limb to limb with timing that would impress a hound-tracked bear. His breath spent and his muscles depleted, Don found a branch to perch on near the top of the tree. Safe! At least that's what Don thought. He may have been high up the tree, but he wasn't out of the woods. Down below sounded the familiar voice he had hoped to elude. Her tone, like her commitment to the task, was strong. "I'll be waiting for you, Don Simpkins, even if it takes all day." Hearing the ruckus, race fans began to make their way to the site of the cat-and-mouse game. The unfolding story was too good to miss. Who would show more patience, cat or mouse? Would Don give in, or would the girl decide on easier prey? Well, Don's next move wasn't clear. What was clear, however, was the crowd's increasing awareness that the gal standing at the base of the tree wasn't moving anytime soon. She was anchored in the conviction that the guy sitting at the top of the tree was well worth her weight. It was the kind of scene that makes one wonder if getting a lawn chair and a bowl of popcorn would enhance the viewing pleasure. The event was humorous. Unexpected, it was also sobering. Little by little, an emphatic spirit toward the gal at the base of the tree began to move among the spectators. They realized, for her, this wasn't just a game. The chase became a rare opportunity to potentially capture the love and acceptance she had longed for the other 364 days of the year. And many in the crowd began to wonder how many other runners that day felt overlooked and unequaled in their desire for a chance at love. Same day, different scene. Near the same starting line where Don Simpkins began his mad dash, another, more soft-spoken exchange took place. "Psst! Are you going to run?" asked a male student to his female counterpart that he noticed wasn't getting herself lined up for the chase. "If you do run," he whispered and winked, "I'll let you catch me." "I'm not running," she replied. "Why not?" he asked. "I have a heart problem." It was untrue. Her heart was fine, but it was the only on-the-spot excuse she could think of to avoid participating in this race already evoking more pain and risk than she wanted to face. Since her arrival on campus, she'd been socially tagged as a worldly misfit. The race proved only to provoke the feelings of undesirability that she carried with her. She was beautiful in appearance and spirit, but in this environment, she wasn't in the popular crowd, a conclusion quickly drawn from a lifetime of left-out experiences. Unvaluable and undesirable had marked her life for far too many years. As an infant, her mother dropped her off at a large orphanage, and she never heard from her again. Never a single word of love. Never, and "I wonder how you're getting along." Never a visit, a postcard, a call, a Christmas gift, or a personalized birthday card. Never having known the comfort or joy of being physically held or comforted by a loved one. Never possessing a toy, a dress, or a room of her own. Never having belongings or feeling like she belonged. Annually and repeatedly, she experienced being overlooked and undervalued by prospective adoptive parents who, after reviewing hundreds of children at the orphanage, returned her to the lot of the unchosen, and in her mind, undesired. She lived out her entire childhood being denied what other children were chosen to receive: a home, a family, a place to belong. Her growing up years taught her all too well and all too often the disappointment of chasing and never catching, of waiting but never being found, wanting to be desired and chosen, but instead experiencing the pain of people saying or indicating, "Not her," left her wondering how she could ever assume a position on the chaser side of such a quest. No wonder she didn't feel like running the race that day. Instinctively, what she felt most like was running away. 15 years of living in the heartless, industrial-like dormitory setting of the orphanage pushed her toward acquiring survival skills that would help her endure a life of never feeling personally wanted or valued. So she feigned a heart problem. It was the fastest, most easily understood, and socially acceptable way out of participating that day. In truth, her excuse wasn't far off. She did have a heart problem. Her heart had been wounded and weakened from the days of the orphanage to her arrival at this small conservative college. Familyless in one setting, a misfit in the other. Her past and present left her confused about any situations where being chosen would naturally leave some unchosen. Someone not being chased after or another not being caught didn't sit well with her. Even if this was just a single-day Sadie Hawkins event, her mind raced back to age of 15 when she'd been selected and checked out for an exploratory date weekend by a couple. She was so hopeful that this was her chance to be adopted. The husband and wife couldn't agree on her as a mutual ongoing choice, however, so they returned her to the orphanage late on a Sunday evening. Yet another overlooked and undervalued attack on her heart. What would her life have become had God not provided a second couple for her that heartbreaking weekend? This new couple, childless but hopeful, had been attending the same family reunion picnic as the first couple. Providentially, she and the new couple met. The husband and wife couldn't get this special 15-year-old gal off their hearts and minds. They chased after her as someone never to be returned. From a chance meeting at a family reunion, a new family union was formed. And what followed were many life transformations and open doors that led her to this special private college opportunity and to the Sadie Hawkins starting line where her life was about to change forever. Feeling different than all those standing in the lines of chasees and chasers, she again heard a kind and interested male voice calmly say, "Psst, just say stop and I'll let you catch me." There was no confusion on his side of the line. He'd noticed her from a distance for a while and wanted to spend time with her. He believed her to be a valuable prize worth pursuing. He also believed he had some value that she might benefit from and enjoy as well. And that's why he was nearly begging her to run, to take even just one step in his direction. He wanted to be caught, and he wanted her to catch him. Isn't that just like God's heart desire after us? He invites you and me to seek, thirst after, run, come close to him. Why? Because he wants to be found. In fact, he promises to be. Despite any past or present experiences that have left you confused and heartbroken as someone overlooked or undervalued, isn't it worth the risk to pursue the God who says, "Run after me, and I'll let you catch me"? Your intentional pursuit of God may just change everything. It did for my mother that day. She said, "I told your father stop, and he did." Smiling, she added, "I almost ran over him. He really wanted me to catch him." And she did catch him, and he caught her. And they are celebrating 65 years of married relationship this year. My father chuckled as he told me she didn't actually have a heart problem then, but she sure does now. She really loves me. And my father has wooed that love forward, day after day. I've seen countless demonstrations of love that he's expressed to my mother over the years. She receives cards, little love notes, and special gifts far more frequently than just on special occasions. She's been cherished, valued, and cared for in such over-the-top and God-honoring ways. I know my father will one day hear from Jesus, "David, you loved your bride the same way I did mine. Well done." And my mother will hear echoes of the same regarding her love and care for my dad. My folks could never have imagined when they spent time together that most unusual Sadie Hawkins day just how far the length and breadth of their love would extend. Without hesitation, they would both tell you that the risk and initiative was well worth it. The spark of love ignited that day continues to fuel an unstoppable fire. My father said to me, there at the starting line, I could never have imagined with your mother all that life would hold. With your sister, you, your brother, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, even more, I could never have fathomed all that God would do through the churches we pastored in 4 states to influence by His grace tens of thousands of lives who, like domino ripples, have profoundly touched others worldwide over time. Yes, Dad said, I didn't imagine or consider much of anything in the future that day. I was pretty much focused in the moment and on your mother. All I knew was that I wanted her to run after me and catch me. But I suppose that's the way much of life is. We make little decisions that put us on paths that alter our lifetimes for all eternity. Dad was right. Seemingly spark-sized decisions made in a singular moment can engulf and spread the width and depth of one's life in unimaginable ways. Psst! You gonna run? Has God caught your attention? He's smiling, saying, if you'll chase me, I'll let you catch me. He sees this book in your hand and he's hoping you'll say yes to his relational proposal. He knows if you do, you'll discover just how much you are the apple of his eye. So much ever after love is ahead for you as you take a first step toward him. An easier than expected chase one Sadie Hawkins race day at a small private college in 1951 resulted in the relationship of a lifetime. She was my mother. He was my father. She took a step toward him, reached out and touched him. Tag, you're my choice, she said, and that historical day changed everything. Is it possible that this very moment in your life is just as epic? Will you chase, catch, and have your life be forever forged by God in the fire of his love? Psst, you gonna run? If you chase me, I'll let you catch me.